Resolution's great, but like at the end of the day, whether it's higher ed or whether it's corporate, wherever it is, you're in front of a screen for a meeting. I'm not sure any K matters, right? It's the content, it's the color. And let's not even talk about now you're going into 8K. So, all right, 8K is great. Now I need to change the cabling to manage the 8K, and I got to get a processor that will do all this. And by the way, that's going to blow so much hot air out of the back of that unit that I need 15 different fans that are going to cool that system down. Oh, now it's super loud and I got to put dampening. It's endless. It's pointless. I'm not sure I can tell the difference between 720p and 1080p, to be honest with you. I'm being completely honest, right? Like, you guys look great.
Well, thank you. They were very kind.
Yeah, and I'm sure I blur my background because I'll blind everyone with the shine off the top of my head.
Homer, did you polish your head in a shino ballo?
No.
Okay, then.
How many Ks do we need for AV experiences? The pitfalls of upgrading your system? And Audinate has a new Chief Platform Officer. All that and more next on AV Week. This is AV Week, episode 732, recorded Friday, August 29th, 2025. It goes to 12. This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of the biggest news and stories in the AV and the IT world. This week, we've got personnel moves, new products, and a Gmail security warning. Let's get into it. We start with global market projections. The latest AV market growth forecast from Avixa has been revised downward from 5.3% annual growth to 3.9%. Analysts point to tightening budgets, slower recovery in certain verticals, and lingering supply chain pressures. Now, while the sector is still growing, the lowered forecast signals more measured expansion ahead. This means planning cycles may need to factor in longer timelines for ROI and a more competitive bidding environment as integrators and manufacturers fight for market share. Audinate, the company behind Dante, has appointed TJ Adams as its new Chief Platform Officer. Adams previously led product strategy at QSys and has been a key voice in developing QSC's expansion into video, cloud, and software domains. His new role underscores Audinate's push to move beyond audio into being a full media transport platform. This signals continued investment in scalability and integration across audio, video, and control for Audinate. The Z-Wave Alliance has unveiled a new certified product guide. This directory highlights devices that have gone through Z-Wave certification process covering smart lighting, security, HVAC, and energy management. For commercial AV, this expands the tool set available for integrators working in converged environments like smart buildings and campuses. It also provides IT managers with a clearer way to identify interoperability before deployment. This helps reduce risk when tying IoT devices into enterprise networks. Bluefin has announced ColorFrame, a new option for its digital signage displays that allows customized frame colors. Now, this product gives integrators and end users the ability to match signage frames to brand palettes, decor, or architectural design. Now, this may seem cosmetic. Signage is often front-facing in retail, hospitality, and corporate environments, and the ability to customize the frame can reduce the need for aftermarket modifications. This is a subtle but strategic product move aimed at enhancing visual impact and client satisfaction in digital signage deployments. Finally, Google has issued an emergency warning to Gmail users. Change your freaking password. I know and understand that this is not an an AV specific story, but all of us have a Gmail account, so I figured that this is worth covering. Gmail and Google has flagged a newly discovered exploit targeting email accounts through malicious attachments. Details are limited. Google has urged users to update their security settings, enabling two-factor authentication, and avoid opening suspicious messages. All of those are just general good practices in email. That is your AV and a little bit of IT and security news. Stick around for this week's Roundtable, where we dig into 12K screens and upgrade horror stories. This is AV Week.
Hey listeners, it's your AV sneakerhead, Jennifer Weaver. Listen to AV Career Masterminds, where I chat all things job related in the audio-visual industry. You can find AV Career Masterminds where you subscribe to podcasts.
Welcome back with us to discuss the news and information we have gathered this week. First and foremost, Dawn Mead, original member of the Commercial Integrator 40 Under 40, which we covered last week. How are you, ma'am?
Very good, thanks. How are you, fellow OG 40 Under 40?
Still, if Craig or Dan or anybody else at Commercial Integrator is watching this, we are still waiting for our cover shot. Our just saying.
Back then it was shiny and new, and we didn't even rate a cover. They just put some other old white dude on the cover like normal, and we were just inside on a couple pages.
They could have done like a 10 year later, where are they now type thing, but that's past too. So,
right?
I don't know. All right. Enough of that. George Jacko, welcome, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, good to be back on the show.
And last but not least, my buddy, Mr. Craig Durr from Austin, Texas. Welcome, sir.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. A couple things we got going this week. First one is it's an article from our buddy Dave Danto on AV Network. Danto writes about the risks hidden in quote-unquote simple system upgrades. Now, Jacko and Don are both, fully in the end user spectrum here. Durr is an analyst. All three of you know there is no such thing as a simple system upgrade. I digress. We will continue. What often looks as like a small change, swapping codecs, upgrading firmware, never do that on a Friday, by the way, or never do it remotely. Refreshing hardware, these things can cascade into larger compatibility issues. It can break workflows. It can require expensive fixes. Danto's piece highlights how integrators and end users need to balance the desire for incremental changes, incremental upgrades, quite frankly, with the reality that system dependencies and downtime risks all need to be factored in. Don, we're going to start with you on this. When you look at not just the article, but also the overarching idea here of simple upgrades, what are the dangers and pitfalls of upgrading your systems?
Oh, where to begin? I could talk for a week on this.
Well, we have time.
And welcome to my world, by the way. This is what we deal with day in and day out constantly. I mean, first of all, when you're dealing with a large organization, which I am with a very large organization, you're dealing with a lot of AV estate. So both physical real estate, locations, rooms, quantity of equipment. The life cycles are going to be redonkulous. I mean, when I was an integrator and we'd have customers that had like 10-year refresh cycles and we were like, oh my God, an AV, 10 years is forever. Man, I'm finding stuff that's 20, 25 years old here that when it finally dies, then someone says, hey, let's find some budget to upgrade this. And by then, I mean, there's no replacing a piece or a couple of pieces. So first of all, it's a case of getting everybody on the same page from a level starting field, which isn't going to happen on some big organizations. Probably, George is kind of shaking his head a little bit, probably even some of the big campuses, unless you just start from scratch with a big budget and endowment, you're not going to all start on the same page. But then the minute you change one little thing, swap out a cable, and that can take down a room. If it's the wrong kind of cable or if it's an active optical or not an active optical and it was designed for one. Something as simple as that can take down your room. And in a company like ours, the room is not a problem. It can sit there a 30-year-old equipment in it. The room is not a problem until somebody needs to use it. Then it's an emergency. Yep. So there's no in between, and unless you know your estate in advance well enough to say, I've got these rooms, here's what they have, we're going to build in some budget to fix that, and we're going to keep coming back to the B word because budget is a big thing. Try to get a budget for an incremental change or for a standard life cycle change if you don't have a long history of life cycle planning already in place. So there's so much, Tim. I'm just talking about all the business and logistical things. I haven't even talked about the gear yet, but, we try to put in something to help us with this kind of planning. Try to put in a monitoring or a maintenance platform so we can at least see what rooms and what equipment's out there and if it's working. And half the gear isn't compatible with that system because it's so old or doesn't have the right input, or you need a special dongle or software that it's not capable of upgrading to. So it's endless. It's endless. And I read this article by Danto earlier in the week when it came out, and oh my God, the whole time I was going, this, plus more, keep talking, Dave, because that's exactly my life.
No, there was one element there, though, within the Danto article. And I think it's very right. And there's some programs, I think, in place to help. But in his particular example, he was talking about his iPhone, and he was doing like a major upgrade. I think he had like about a 15-year gap from his current iPhone to what's being placed now. So I think that highlights a unique use case, right? A lot of the things that we're talking about in the AV space do have a very long life cycle. And then all of a sudden you go and hit the update, and as simple as it's no longer USB-C, or everything's USB-C, or something like that changes connectivity and routing, is that big challenge. So I wonder out loud if the best strategy is that proactive incremental strategy, because in a lot of ways what he was highlighting for his personal use case was not incremental. Although it would seem to him he used his iPhone to the point of death and then went back in and did the next one. And the next one for him was from the 13 to whatever we are now, 17, 18, I don't know, I forget.
I just wanted to say, Craig, you stole my thunder with picking on Danto's
Yeah,
upgrade.
I'm not trying to pick on him, but
No. Pick on Danto all day long. It's fine.
But see, that's exactly, though, my point is it might not be true for a lot of companies, but for a company like mine, I mean, I'm literally going into buildings that still have RGB HV cable and projectors that need converging, let alone bulbs. And meanwhile, we're trying to get everyone on laser or, flat panels or whatever else. And it's like, my God, you guys, CRTs in some places, like, thank God we got rid of most of those. But I mean, his example is not so out of the realm for some companies.
Don, there were quite a few terms you used there that folks born before 2005 would probably have no clue what RGBHV means, or possibly even CRT.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Being
in higher ed, when I first came into this role over here, it was similar. We didn't have a replacement cycle, and it was whatever was in the ceiling, you use gaff tape to hold that thing together until it fell off the ceiling, and then you figured out what to do. So I've been on both ends of that spectrum, including the one that you mentioned, Tim, being part of a team that was part of a firmware upgrade that happened on a Friday because there was a huge downtime for this upgrade to happen, only to find out on Monday that huge downtime ended up becoming a week-long downtime. I think phasing is the right way to do it. We have a four-year life cycle replacement here at Pace, but it's not like we're ripping out the entire room and redoing it, right? If I have a laser projector that's rated for 20,000 hours, no, I'm not running it down to the ground to the 20,000 hours, but it's good to stay up there for 5, maybe 6 years, and that's not the priority for me to replace. But if there's a touch panel that's on the wall, and that's end of life, end of service, end of support, then, that is something that needs to go on that cycle of 4 years. But there are more security-based systems that do need to be on a 4 or sometimes even lesser rotation that needs more attention. And I think that's where the most critical aspects of, replacement cycles are. And Danto, your iPhone should definitely be on the front of that list with everything that's happening and all the hacks that are happening, just putting it out there.
Well, hardware, you're right. And especially going into this environment right now where tariffs are increasing, cost of everything, budgets are getting squeezed because of uncertainty, and people are going to be really, really cautious about hardware upgrades. And you're right. I think if you look at the software world of updates, you've got at least some incremental ideas. Microsoft allows you to do these ring updates so that you can incrementally roll things out. You can test in an environment first to make sure it works before doing that. It's just, I don't know the equivalent per se, but it seems to be a best practice that somehow, somewhere you could try and apply to hardware. But recognizing that there are budget limitations for everyone, and that's the hard fact there. You can't get around that, right? But this idea of incremental updates, POCs, and things like that to help do this. But to each one of these cases, I mean, we're operating in buildings 10, 15, 20, 140 years old, whatever it is, and you don't know what's behind that sheetrock, let alone if it's plaster. So so it's tough. I do empathize with the challenge.
And I will throw this curveball here at the very end before we move on to our next story. All three of you guys mentioned budget limitations. That is going to actually becoming worse. Combination of things. Corporate, I can't speak a whole lot to because different corporations has different things. But pretty much without exception, every higher ed institution I've talked to in the last 6 months, everybody's budgets are kind of being squeezed for a number of different reasons. And then you throw on the other side of that, which is some version of price increase. Regardless of what the reasoning is, there is price increases. They've already come, and they will continue to come at least for the next 6 months. Budgets limitations are certainly happening in the space. The last thing I'll say about this is Chaco's right. You don't ever upgrade on update on Friday. Way back in the day, when I was in World of Warcraft, there's a reason that Update Tuesday happened. Microsoft gave us our updates on Tuesday, and we all went online and played World of Warcraft. So,
and our best practice is whenever we know that there is a major meeting or a major event, multiple days before said event, we have dry runs. Even if it's just a simple kind of meeting that you have weekly, we still will do a dry run if a person of VP or higher, is involved, because it gives us time to fix it, make sure everything's up and functional.
Also, test environments are good before production.
Yep.
Alrighty. From our friends over at AV Magazine, a groundbreaking installation in the UK is putting audiences inside the performance with a 360-degree 12K LED wraparound display for a choreographed dance show. Number one, side note, little known fact, Dawn went to school for dance, so I know that she's going to be on this one already. Went to college for dance. The technology immerses viewers in a post-cinematic environment where live performance blends with digital stagecraft. Beyond the spectacle, it raises questions about the future of storytelling, brand engagement, and how many Ks we freaking need. So that is my first question, Mr. Chaco. Yes, I'm an old man. I do not care. We are at 4K right now. Folks still haven't given me content for 8K. Yes, the displays are out there. Yes, the projector's out there. But no, I don't, with the exception of a handful of graphics cards that my kids can play Fortnite in 8K. Nobody else has given me anything near like content for 8K. These yahoos are doing 12K, right?
Right.
So whether it is in corporate, whether it is in higher ed, or whether it is in experiences, seriously, how many resolution, how big of a resolution do we need right now?
My first impression is, holy wow, that is awesome. I would love to see it. And that's about it. After that, K's, resolution's great. But like at the end of the day, whether it's higher ed or whether it's corporate, wherever it is, you're in front of a screen for a meeting. That 6 people huddle around a 65-inch TV, maybe a 75-inch TV. If I'm in a classroom, I have a projector that's 120 inches diagonal. I'm not sure any K matters, right? It's the content, it's the color, pixel pitch. Like, do I care how close the LED light bulbs are to each other? Absolutely not. Is it a clear picture? Is it legible? Can I point to it? Can people see the pictures that are involved in it? That's all there is. In a higher ed setting, you're looking at spreadsheets, you're looking at PowerPoint. I'm not sure you need 4K for that content. You're watching a YouTube video. Honestly, I think I have pretty good eyesight. I'm not sure I can tell the difference between 720p and 1080p, to be honest with you. I'm being completely honest, right? Like, you guys look great in these 4 squares here. It looks amazing. Yeah, and I'm sure I blur my background because I'll blind everyone with the shine off the top of my head, if not. But besides that, is 4K even necessary? I don't know. And let's not even talk about now you're going into 8K. So all right, 8K is great. Now I need to change the cabling to manage the 8K, and I got to get a processor that will do all this. And by the way, that's going to blow so much hot air out of the back of that unit that I need 15 different fans that are going to cool that system down. Oh, now it's super loud and I got to put dampening. It's endless. It's pointless. Give me a regular TV screen and I'm happy. If I'm watching Sunday night football, maybe a little 4K action, but I'm good. I'm good with a regular 720p, 1080p type setting. To me, and I've said this, I'll probably get a lot of heat for this. Every once in a while, our AV and industry people get bored, and we either come out with a new K or we bring 3D back.
Don't. Why did you do that?
I got a new pair of glasses for you.
You say it 3 times, and they'll bring it back.
Let me comment on this, because I'm having flashbacks of the movie Spinal Tap and someone saying, but this goes to 11. It goes to 11. It's better than 10. It goes to 11.
It goes to 11.
But and I think that's interesting. And George, like you, I was like, cool. When can I and how can I swing a trip to London to see this? This is cool. I want to see this. But interestingly, Tim, our mutual friend and colleague Chris Netto asked a similar question on his AV in the AM this past weekend, and he was talking not about this specific use case, but about 4K, 8K going up. And one of our other AV Tweeps colleague, Joe Way, responded with a good point, and I did some ideas on this, is at some point, the eye doesn't function on pixels. The eye and optical nerve actually doesn't have a true pixel count. It does. It kind of works on this made-up resolution. We fill the gaps in our eyes of what's taking place between left eye, right eye. We fill our gaps between what we're seeing in the distance, and we project it into our brain, and we say what's going on. So I wonder, cross-referencing this, how the eye perceives this, at what point in time there is a maximum idea or not. So I would love to see it in person. I'm sure it would really blow my mind. But I don't know what the natural ceiling is of pixel counts in this regard. I mean, what is it, like 26 million pixels or something like that? Or if AVNation wants to sponsor a little research and a road trip there, I think George, myself, and Don are ready to go. We're there, and we'll give you direct feedback if the eye teased or not.
I appreciate that.
I'll even perform if you want me to.
All kinds of ideas in my head, George. Dawn, help me out here. From a corporate standpoint, UC standpoint, how many? I mean, how many Ks do we need in that environment?
First of all, I was giggling not because of Spinal Tap, but going back into the AVNation vaults to about 2008, when a certain Ozzy Osbourne phone commercial came out talking about G's, and we paraphrased it on the show because that was right about when 4K was coming out with, how many bloody K's are there? And I think we're there still. So a little flashback there for the old fans, again with the OG. But, I mean, in the corporate world, resolution, it simultaneously matters a lot and doesn't matter one damn bit. And we can put in these super highfalutin, great, very super duper high res things, and like 5 engineers that might be doing something with a microscope or something. Pardon me a second. We'll pause this a second.
Mitchell gets ahead.
Okay. Let's take it from the top there. So it doesn't matter with the resolution. You can have these great big giant resolution screens. It only really matters to those like half a dozen engineers that are looking at something through a microscope or looking at super detailed drawings, engineering drawings that they need to blow it up and look very closely at like 3 pixels worth or 3, millimeters worth of wiring in a rocket ship or something like that. Those folks need high res, but like 90% of the rest of the company is using their great, 4K TVs on the wall or 4K projectors in the ceiling to look at PowerPoints. And the only reason you need that great resolution is because the execs love to put like 12,000 lines on a single slide to keep their slide count down. So, there are use cases, like everything in AV, where we require lots of resolution and we need all the Ks, all the bloody Ks out there. And on the other hand, it doesn't matter. We could still be doing this with, not even HD. We could be doing it with regular just to look at some PowerPoints. And that's how they describe them here, the PowerPoints. But putting all that aside, okay, going totally off the question, I was a dance major. I live for the intersection of art and technology. As far back as before I was AV Dawn, when I was just a dance major at a small liberal arts college, and we got to see, this was back in the 90s for some of you young people, this was back in the long, long ago when the internet barely had pictures other than ASCII art. But there was some primitive motion capture that they brought in and they showed us in the dance group. And we were able to try moving and doing little, things to see how it was captured by the computers. And it blew my mind, probably helped drive me to where I am today. So stories like this one, stories like about a year or two ago, might have even been AV Interactive, did the story on the installation in Paris where they had dancers in black and white and the dancers became the pixels and were doing images with their things like that are phenomenal. Turning the Sphere in Vegas into the Rockettes and innovating new ways of recording video of dancing so that while they're on the Sphere, it looks like you can see the front and the back of the individual dancers through the Sphere. Things like this I live for, and I definitely want to try to figure out. Unfortunately, I'll only be in Europe this year at the beginning of October. It says runs from October 30th to the 22nd of February. I'll be in Ireland at the beginning of October, so I can't even pop across and check it out while I'm there. But I would love to be part of something like this. These immersive experiences that bring in the technology, that bring in the art and some of the art houses and what is it, Meow Wolf in Vegas. Yep. And all of those sorts of things, that immersive element with the technology plus the art of dance and the art of music, this is what our industry should be, I got to sit and deal with putting up PowerPoints on a wall or letting those 12 engineers look at their engineering drawing with all the bloody Ks. But this is like the true human and just integrated experience use. Yeah, this is what makes the technology worth pursuing. Being able to communicate, but also being able to feel. And I'm about it. So
that'd be a good place to stop. Thank you all so much. By the way, if you are going to the AV Magazine Awards, that will be in the middle of this installation, so you can go by if you're going to the AV. If you're going to the AV Magazine Awards, I am not going. I know a handful of folks that are, so you can check that out over there. And I guess if you're going to ISE, because technically we could just jump up from Barcelona to the UK for that.
Oh, sure, rub it in. I don't get to go to either one of those.
I'm not going to that one. Well, I'm going to ISE, just not the awards. I know. Anyhow. All right. Thank you all. Mr. Chaco, how do people connect with you?
You could reach me on LinkedIn at George Chaco-CTS. Apparently, there's quite a few George Chacos, so I had to put a -CTS. You can reach me on Instagram, The Bald AV Guy. I'm also the co-founder and president of a wonderful nonprofit organization called Next Level Learning. Yep. We are geared towards what was the word I used? Oh my God, I can't remember my own word. Youthification and diversification of AV and IT. We are really, our goal is to bring in youth and inform them about decisions. Right now, if you talk to kids, they're like, oh, I want to be in cybersecurity because that's where the money is. But they don't realize what goes into actually having a career in cybersecurity or any field in tech. So, AV is another one that people don't even know exist necessarily. So our objective is to bring this information to the younger generation and mentor them and guide them into the industry and get them ready for the big show. And to that end, we have a huge event coming up in November in Philadelphia this year. We call it the Talent Summit, AV Talent Summit, where we're planning on having about 300 high school kids from 14 school districts in Philadelphia this year. So it's growing from 160 last year to almost 300 kids this year. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah. And George and the group brought a number of, what was it, 3 or 4 folks to Infocom for their first time this
3.
past
Yeah.
June. So, yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Mr. Durr, thank you, sir. How do people connect with you or the Collab Collective?
Well, they can find me online at collab-collective.com. That's our website. There's a lot of great information I hope you guys try and take a look at there, including blog posts, videos that help try and break down some of the complexity or confusion in the AV and the IT market and make it understandable. And then I'll do a lot on social media to share that as well, too. So you can see me at Craig Durr on LinkedIn, on Twitter, because I'll never call it X. We're even expanding to Instagram, and you might see me dancing on a TikTok video every now and then. We'll see, okay?
Really?
Well, Dawn is a dancer, and she has inspired me here. I might as well follow in.
Right on.
I have to go follow Durr on TikTok. All right.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, and then, hey, there's a couple events coming up, too, and I would welcome the opportunity for people to run into them as well, if there happen to be that. Some of my favorite, like Zoomtopia, is virtual, but WebEx is going to be out there, WebEx1, and I'll be there in person. And I'll also be doing some other things in Orlando, too. So if you see me, please say hello. I'd love to meet you in person.
He's very friendly. He's a lot more friendly than I am. Let's just put it that way. Dawn, thank you, ma'am. How do people connect with you?
Well, you can't find out where I'm working because I'm in an undisclosed location putting PowerPoints on a wall, but you can find me all over social media at AVDawn or Dawn Mead if you're boring, or on LinkedIn or something. DAWN MEADE with an E on the end, just like the fort and the general. Sir, yes, sir. You will find me there, and depending which social you find, you might find dance content, drumming content, AV content, pipe band content. You never know what you're going to find because I like to think of myself as a Renaissance woman. So, and of course, you can always find me on AVNation.tv.
Yeah. And Zumba content.
And Zumba, well, that's, kind of dance, kind of fitness, kind of.
For me, for Tim Albright, do not follow me anywhere because at this point I will be complaining about the Chicago Bears because the season starts in about a week. But you can go by the website, AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. You will find this program and a host of others, including a brand new Women in AV, where Erica Carroll talks about mentorship with Amanda Wildman. She is pretty fantastic, a board member of CEDIA and integrator owner up in Michigan, I believe. I mentioned don't follow me. If you want to read stuff that I write that has nothing to do with technology, you can certainly follow me on LinkedIn. You can find my writings there. Has nothing to do with tech. Very rare, but you can check that out. Durr mentioned the fact that he's going around the world. I am as well. We are heading to IBC in Amsterdam, the 12th through the 15th of September. So just like Craig, if you see me running around, go ahead and say hi. Neto will be there as well. A handful of other of our cohorts will be there.
The Collab Collective is going to have a representative there. Neil Flooster is going to be there on behalf of the Collab Collective, and he's going to be doing some interviews and help capturing that crossover from the broadcast industry to what we can do in conference rooms and even personal desktops. That's the goal.
And that is becoming more and more. I mean, you and I have talked about this before, but I went to NAB probably the second or third time this year. I'm going to IBC for the first time. There is a reason for that, and that is there is a, not to overuse the word convergence because we've overused it in the AV industry, but there is certainly a convergence between broadcast and professional AV, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm just glad we made it through an entire broadcast without saying those two letters, A and I, and putting them together.
We did not, thankfully, although you just did, so I'm not sure if that counts or not. So, so you can check me out at IBC. Mitchell will be working his fingers to the bone in about a week or so, putting those videos together. So you can check all that out and more at AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. That's all the time we have for AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Hi, this is Jennifer Goodyear
and Erica Carroll
from the Women in AV podcast, where we are encouraged by the incredible stories of women in AV.
Listen in on fun, empowering conversations as we chat with inspiring women, breaking barriers and creating their own path in the industry.
Check out Women in AV on avnation.tv or wherever you get your podcasts.